So why is it that when you drive a car, sciatica symptoms can often be made worse? Well, there's a variety of different factors that can influence this, and there are some things you can do about it, and that is what I'm going to explore in this video. Now, let's clarify that we're talking about sciatica. The definition of sciatica is some compression, whether mechanical or chemical, on the nerve as it exits the spine. But it produces this pain that goes down the leg, and that is the overriding symptom, a sharp shooting pain that's down the leg. So let's talk about nerve mobility. I've attached this piece of elastic band to my leg to represent the sciatic nerve as it comes out the back and goes down the leg. Now, normally, our nerve system has fluidity. There is give in the system, which means that when we bend and move, the nerve system has a flow to it that allows us to move without putting the nerve on stretch. But if we have a problem around our back, whether it be a disc problem, whether it be a stenosis problem, or a muscular problem even, then the nerve system can be restricted in its mobility. The nerve gets a bit tethered and restricted, and so therefore is, relatively speaking, tighter. So if we have a tighter nerve system, then when we do go to move, things are stretched more. If I bend forwards at the waist, that nerve is on further stretch. It's on more stretch because I've bent forwards. Now, if it's irritated and restricted, it will increase the symptoms. The same thing goes if we sit down in a chair. So if we're in the car, we're sat down in our car, our nerve system in a bent position is off stretch. If we extend our leg out, like we do when we use the accelerator, if it's our right leg, then basically it will put the nerve on more stretch. And an irritated nerve gets more painful the more stretch it's on. So that's one of the reasons why sitting in a car and with our legs out in front of us puts the nerve system on more stretch, which can be irritating. So in order to make things better, we need to try to reduce that tension on the nerve and improve the situation around our backs as much as possible. So let's talk about ways we can do that. Now, one of the things that we might do to try to help ourselves in the car is give ourselves a little bit more support in the lower back, because if we are arching our back, if we are slumping down like we tend to do in this position, that is one of the things that can put the back on stretch and the nerve on stretch. So instead, we could use a small towel or a cushion and place it in the small of the back, which maintains a little bit better our lumbar lordosis. Okay, so if I show you on the model where we're placing the towel, we have a position of our back where if we're slumped down, we lose our lumbar spine, our lumbar lordotic spine. That is a curve normally that goes this direction. We start to slump into it, and that can put pressure on our muscles through here and also some pressure on the nerves. So we want to try and maintain that by being a bit more upright to maintain our nice S shape. And so our lumbar lordosis support, our cushion, goes into the small of our back. And that should be comfortable. It'll feel like you're being held upright, but it can help to take the pressure off the lower back and make your sciatic symptoms better when it comes to driving. Another strategy we can use is that when we are outstretched, as I explained earlier, the nerve is stretched. So therefore, providing it safe and comfortable to do so, we might find that if we bring our seat a little bit more forward, that allows our knee to bend a little bit more. That will take some of the pressure off the nerve. It's not going to make a huge difference, but it can make small differences, and certainly the longer the journey over a long period of time, it can just take a little bit of the pressure off. So it's worth a try, as long as you can drive safely, of course, with that scenario. And I'm not talking about being completely pressed up against the steering wheel in a very dangerous way. Obviously, common sense applies here. It's just if we are a long way away from the steering wheel and from the pedals, then basically it puts the nerve more on stretch. So quite simply, one of the aspects that quite often can make things worse is just the fact that we are sat for a prolonged period of time without moving. There is a lack of spinal movement in our backs when we are driving, depending on the length of our journeys. So that can increase the pressure on those nerves, increase the tension in those muscles in particular, and make our joints stiff, which means that either we're going to get more pain building up over the course of a journey, or we're actually going to feel it a lot afterwards and in subsequent days. So lots of patients I've seen over the years have gone for a long journey, 3 or 4 hours. They've been okay while they've been driving, relatively speaking, but then suffered really badly with their sciatica over the next few hours and days even. So quite simply, we do need to keep moving. One of the strategies we can use is that we can keep moving. We can actually shift around in our seat a little bit, but also take breaks. I know it's a bit annoying, but we should also take breaks so that we can stop, simply get out of the car, stand up, stretch, walk around a little bit just for a few minutes. Depending on the severity of the symptoms, of course, if symptoms are very severe, you'll need to stop more frequently. If they're not quite so bad, then you'll be able to go for a little bit longer. But quite simply, move around a little bit. Don't stay in a static position. If your car has the facility to have a heated seat, then that's a great thing to use. Warmth will help to relax those muscles off, stop so much tension building up in those muscles. And so using warmth on it is going to be a great scenario. Press the button to put that heated seat on. Let the warmth keep your muscles nice and loose. Unfortunately, my car doesn't, so I have to do without. So finally, how can we potentially do some exercises whilst we're in the car? Has to be stationary, of course, that helps to mobilize our back and stop that tension building up. Well, very simply, we're sat in our car. If we're at a stationary position, we can do a little bit of twisting from side to side. We can rotate our bodies from side to side. Definitely don't do this when you're going along. But if you're still, if you parked up, then you can do some rotations from side to side, just 5 to each side, which helps to mobilize the lower back. If I turn the chair around, we can also do, and I'll sit towards the edge of the chair just so that you can see, a little bit of slumping and sitting up, slumping and sitting up. These are what we call pelvic tilts. And again, we're just getting a little bit of mobility into the lower back, which can help to loosen things off because it's the static nature of being in the car, which is often a big problem. So thanks for watching this video. I hope it's useful to you to reduce the amount of soreness and pain that you get as a result of driving, because we all have to drive really in everyday life. And don't forget that I've got a free ebook that's available. The link's in the description, which is a roadmap, which is appropriate for the subject of this video, a roadmap to sciatica recovery. And so feel free to get that. It's a free download with no strings attached.